Hi guys! Kasama din ba kayo sa mga taong gigil na gigil patungkol sa paulit-ulit na issue na pambubuli ng China Coast Guard sa Philippine Coast Guard sa West Philippine Sea? Kung papasok kayo sa mga comment section ng mga video about West Philippine Sea, halo-halo ang emosyon na mararamdaman nyo dahil sa iba't ibang comment. Nandun yung feeling na matatawa ka, maiinis, manggigigil, at dahil sa video na napanood mo na pambubuli sa ating kapwa Pilipino mula sa mga Chino na Coast Guard. Minsan may mababasa kang comment na paulit-ulit na lang daw, nakakagigil na, nakakalungkot at nakakasawa na dahil hanggang doon at ganoon na lang palagi, laging inaapi sa sariling teritoryo. Guys, may bagong aabangan ang sambayan ng Pilipino patungkol sa issue ng West Philippine Sea dahil ayon mismo sa Philippine Coast Guard na nangako ang United States Coast Guard na magpadala sila ng barko sa West Philippine Sea or WPS upang suportahan ang Pilipinas sa pagbabantay ng Exclusive Economic Zone or EEZ. Sa isang statement, binanggit ng Philippine Coast Guard or PCG na ipapadala ng USCG or United States Coast Guard ang kanilang North Pacific Coast Guard matapos iminungkahi ni Admiral Ronnie Hill Gavan ang greater deployment sa South China Sea to address the forthcoming threats ng China na huhulihin ang mga trespasser sa inaakala nilang maritime boundary. At hindi lang sa US Coast Guard binato ang mungkahi, kundi pati na rin sa Japan Coast Guard. Sa isinasagawang International Institute for Strategic Studies Shangri-La Dialogue sa Singapore few days ago na dinaluhan ni President Bongbong Marcos na harap-harapan pa ngang tinanong si PBBM ng isang Chinese general patungkol sa issue ng West Philippine Sea. At syempre, diretsahan itong sinagot ni PBBM na pinaglalaban lang ng Pilipinas ang karapatan sa West Philippine Sea bilang tunay na may-ari sa naturang dagat at mga isla kung pagbabatayan ng international law. Balik tayo sa statement ni Admiral Ronnie Hill Gavan. Anya, I'd like to propose greater deployment in the high seas. We will do our part, but we also need you to be there to maintain rules-based order the way Coast Guards should play their role, saad ni Gavan. We know our limits, but we know we can do something to give time for our political leaders to do their part to keep the West Philippine Sea as free as it should be, dugtong pa niya. Kinumpirma naman ni US Coast Guard Commandant Admiral Linda Fagan ang kanyang meeting kay Gavan. Gayon din kay Japan Coast Guard Vice Admiral Siguchi Yoshio sa Singapore. Kung napanood nyo yung huling video na inilabas ng Philippine Coast Guard patungkol sa latest incident between China Coast Guard and Philippine Coast Guard na naghahabulan ang dalawang panig at ayon sa balita na inagaw ng Chinese Coast Guard ang mga food supply para sa BRP Sierra Madre na barko at itinapon ito sa dagat. At nitong Martes, inuulat ng Philippine Navy na nadoble ang bilang ng barko ng People's Liberation Army Navy ng China sa West Philippine Sea. Ayon sa statement na the Japan Coast Guard recognized the Philippine Coast Guard's courageous and law-abiding stance in the face of the current situation in the Philippines Exclusive Economic Zone or EEZ. The Japan Coast Guard proposed the conduct of more personnel exchanges to create a robust network of Coast Guard counterparts in pursuit of maritime law enforcement and rule of law. Alam nyo guys, for me alam naman ng marami na patuloy na binubuli ang mga Pinoy fishermen at Philippine Coast Guard ng Chinese Coast Guard dahil pilit nilang pinangangalandakan na sa kanila ang halos buong South China Sea dahil sa sariling nilang batas na 9-dash line, which is hindi kinikilala ng international law. So ngayon, the exciting part is, paano kaya kung mangyari na ang pagsanib Pwersa ng US Coast Guard at suportado pa ito ng Japan Coast Guard at Philippine Coast Guard na magbantay o magpatrolya sa West Philippine Sea. Patuloy pa kaya mambuli ang Chinese Coast Guard o manahimik na sila? At if in case patuloy pa rin silang mambuli sa Coast Guard natin with the presence of US Coast Guard, with the support of Japan Coast Guard, ano kaya ang mangyayari o magiging reaksyon ng tatlong bansa o tatlong National Coast Guards kapag umalma itong Chinese Coast Guard? Exciting moves, di ba? Kasi matagal na talagang gigil ang mga Pilipino o taong bayan sa paulit-ulit na pambubuli sa sariling teritoryo. Yan ang abangan natin. At narito ang kabuoang pahayag ng Philippine Coast Guard. PCG, JCG, USCG reassert commitment to keeping West Philippine Sea free, safe, and secure. The Philippine Coast Guard or PCG, Japan Coast Guard or JCG, and US Coast Guard or USCG have reasserted their commitment to keeping the West Philippine Sea or WPS free, safe, and secure. This occurred during the International Institute for Strategic Studies or IISS in Shangri-La Dialogue 21st Asia Security Summit in Singapore from 31st May to June 2, 2024. During the PCG, JCG, USCG conference, Philippine Coast Guard Commandant Coast Guard Admiral Ronnie Hill L. Gavan recommended to the Japan Coast Guard and US Coast Guard to develop new ways to address the forthcoming threat in the high seas, particularly China's declaration to apprehend non-Chinese fishermen who will violate their self-declared boundaries. The Philippine Coast Guard intends to send ships further out in coordination with other agencies to better secure our Filipino fishermen, Coast Guard Admiral Gavan said. I'd like to propose greater deployment in the high seas. We will do our part, but we also need you to be there to maintain rules-based order, the way Coast Guards should play their role. The Coast Guard Commandant added, "We know our limits, but we know we can do something to give time for our political leaders to do their part to keep the West Philippine Sea as free as it should be," he furthered. For its part, the Japan Coast Guard recognized the Philippine Coast Guard's courageous and law-abiding stance in the face of the current situation in the Philippines Exclusive Economic Zone or EEZ. The Japan Coast Guard proposed the conduct of more personnel exchanges to create a robust network of Coast Guard counterparts in the pursuit of maritime law enforcement and rule of law. Meanwhile, the U.S. Coast Guard shared they will deploy their North Pacific Coast Guard to support the Philippine Coast Guard in upholding its sovereign rights in the West Philippine Sea, emphasizing the need to conduct further training, develop dynamic tactics and procedures, and prepare ships equipped to counter and evolving threats in the high seas. The Philippine Coast Guard, Japan Coast Guard, and U.S. Coast Guard agreed to pursue capacity-building initiatives to strengthen their people-to-people relationship, better synchronize Coast Guard doctrines on the ground, and develop trust with each other. Rest assured that the Philippine Coast Guard is doing its share in the alliance we nurture. We are grateful for the new opportunities to further strengthen our ranks and fulfill our roles in the most unique way to address current challenges. Thank you, Japan Coast Guard and United States Coast Guard, for being reliable partners of the Philippine Coast Guard. Coast Guard Admiral Gavan Express. At yan po ang kabuuan, guys. So, sana magkaroon ng magandang resulta ang ugnayang ito sa pamamagitan ng tatlong bansa patungkol sa West Philippine Sea. So yan ang aabangan natin guys. Thank you at sana may natutunan tayo at aware tayo sa mga nangyayari sa ating bansa. So until next video.